is absolutely essential that you play around with these social networking sites as much as possible, look at the feature, do some analysis, and look at the numbers and how they can make sense in the business context. Remember, this module is about thinking. In fact, thinking outside the box. It's more about social, but social is about being open. Same as you discuss with your friends on your day-to-day basis, that's exactly the same thing happens online. So same as you behave with your friends on a day-to-day basis, you should do exactly the same thing online. Because otherwise you're going to start to do what? You're going to start to annoy people. How many times you join conversation, you join chats and different things, and you realize people are just kind of ignoring you. Okay, and it's the same thing that happens in a day-to-day engagement with your friends. It's very similar to that online. So you need to keep in mind when you join forums or you join discussions online and things like that, to actually get an idea about what you're trying to do and listen first before you get in and start to support or engage with others. Okay, there's a very specific reason that we're using this particular kind of graph, which shows a network of connections that I have in a social networking environment. Okay? And the reason why I've showed this to you is because I want to give you an idea how the world is connected in the social space. And the key word here is connection. Connection that matters. Okay? And you can see now, there'll be specific lectures we're going to look at what we call 6 degrees of separation, how we are divided between each other. Okay? And so this just shows how I'm connected into the social space. And if you start to do the same for your own profile, you start to get an idea what matters to you the most. Okay? What are the businesses you're connected the most? What are the people you're connected and you engage the most? Okay? And from the business context, that's quite important, because imagine this was a business. Okay? Instead of mining, it was the business. And you would realize which are those customers and people that come to engage with you and your brand. And that's why that's quite important. And it's called type of mapping chart, mapping graph chart. Now, the reason why we do social is because it's changing the way we not just communicate with each other, the way we do business online as well. And there is a very specific reason for that. It's numbers. We're all in social networking spaces. We're all there. Now, why that is important for business? Can somebody say anything about it? Why do you think this is so important? Why do you think businesses need to care about the fact that there are only on Facebook 1.1 billion people? Why do you think this is important? Why do you think businesses can't ignore the fact that social networking channels are very important indeed? Can anyone try? Why do you think this matters to businesses? Yes, please.
Because it's a cheap way to get their product name out to so many people.
Yes. Excellent. Anyone else? Why do you think this is important? In fact, this is a key question. Why are we doing the module? The module is new. It's running for the second time at the business school. I designed it, I think it was just about 3 years ago. And so lots of people say, why would you need a social networking module? But I could see the trend picking up. And I could realize that the power now, thanks to social networking sites, is with consumers. And we're going to do an experiment in this hour today now. So bring out your phones. Those of you using Twitter, try and tweet to a business that you're using. Okay? And tweet any message you want to tweet. But it has to be a genuine message. So whether that's about Virgin Media, I don't know, British Airways, any other business that you use, okay? Send out a tweet mentioning the name of that business, okay? But it must be a genuine tweet. Don't say anything bad if it's not true. Say only whatever you think truly about the module, okay? About the module, about the company. So tweet that now, and as soon as you get a reply back, let me know. Okay, even if it's during the session, it's fine. We want to see that. And the reason why we're doing it is that if you wanted to contact a business now, you have to be for 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes on the phone. Have you tried contacting Virgin Media and say, oh, by the way, you're in the queue 15. And it might be that you have to wait 20 minutes. But as soon as you tweet something, bless you, they'll get back to you straight away. Sometimes in 4 or 5 minutes. Now that's quite an interesting indicator, isn't it? Because that just tells you a lot. It tells you what social means to business. Because it's public. Now when you're on the phone, how many people know you had a bad experience on the phone? Nobody. Apart from the people in your family that they know you're so angry about it. And they see your face and say, what's happening? Nobody else knows about it. However, when it comes to social, it's open. Everybody knows about it. And how is that impacting the brand? Big time. And we're going to look at different case studies and different stories where bad messages, negative messages towards different specific brands, they have really affected in stock exchange, in the consumer base, everywhere else. Now that is a core reason why social does matter. And of course, it gives the power to consumer that we've never had. When you think about emails, telephones, and things like that, you know how long it takes to get an answer back from companies? It takes forever. And how many times you picked up the phone, you said, oh, I want to talk to someone at British Airways, whatever, I want to change my flight, or I had a problem with my baggage or something like that. And you've got to wait for so you said, forget it, I'll just try another day. But as soon as you tweet something, it'll be like, oops. Alarm ringing somewhere, and they say, oh, we've got to deal with this straight away. Why? Mainly because it's public, and everybody will see it. So we don't want to have people thinking that we are not delivering. Because building a brand, you all learn from marketing, building a brand is the most challenging thing in the business, isn't it? It takes years, it takes decades to build a brand. But it takes very short time to destroy it. And that's why social is an important element of our business. In fact, as soon as you finish your university and graduate and kind of get into these graduate schemes, you will see that one of the most popular jobs for you are going to be around web and around social and around mobile. They will expect, I meet with employers every day, I recruit students for some of my projects that I work at the university. And I can tell you that businesses by default expect you to know these things. They say, I don't have time to deal with it, I'm too busy, we're trying to build a social media presence, that's your job. And most of the time you're not going to receive any more detailed brief than this one. So they expect from you to know this. Because this is very young and new emerging technology that is being offered. We want to understand the power of social networking for businesses and for enterprises. We want to see how that is impacting the strategic development of a business. We talk about brand, right? But you will now see, and as we dive into the module, you really get an idea why this matters a lot. Okay? Now, these are some of the things that we're gonna learn. And obviously, by the end of the module, we need to learn about tools. Tools to measure social networking activities. Why do tools matter? Tools are pretty much web applications that process millions of information online. Now, there's two big differences of the websites and web applications. Web applications do one thing very good. They go and search in millions of servers, crunch the data for us, and bring us a report. Those are web applications that we call tools. So when we talk about tools, now you know what they are. They help us, for instance, to go and find out what are people talking about our brand all across different channels. Now, the other thing we're going to learn, we want you to be able to gain this as a skill by the end of the module, to be able to see how you can monetize social networking activities. Now, this is probably the hottest topic when it comes to social networking. Every single business needs to know one thing. What is return on investment? Right? Now, you managed to convince your boss, your CEO, your manager, to give you, I don't know, 10, 15,000 pounds to invest in the next social media campaign. A bit of advertising on Twitter, Facebook, and maybe YouTube. But then, how is that converting into customers? So this is why we are going to tap into this. And we hope that by the end of the module, you will be able to get an idea how you can monetize. Because you can't just end up spending and spending and spending and spending. Because, the company will go bankrupt. They can't just keep giving you money. It doesn't matter how a good sales guy you are. You've got to show numbers. You've got to show how those social activities are returning into business. And that's what we're going to try and do. The other thing, of course, is being able to build strategies. Now, as we dive into the module, you learn the concept of social networking sites. You learn what they mean to businesses. You learn different channels. And then you start to build up an idea how you can build up a strategy to get started and succeed and do well in these social channels. And that's what we're going to try and do. In other words, you need to bring together all the skills you've learned throughout the module. And that's why you can't just learn one thing and ignore another one. Because then your strategic plan just won't work. It won't be appropriate. You've got to make sure you do that. Okay? Then, the next thing is that we're going to look at how this is playing a big role in customer support for companies. Now, I asked you to tweet. I don't know how many of you tweeted. How many of you have tweeted a message? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. So, 6, 7. So that's good. Let's see if we're going to get anything back. So keep your phone in a silent mode, because it will show you anyway, so it doesn't disturb us. But as soon as you get something, just tell us. Then you'll tell us what was your tweet as well. Now, we want to see what is the role of social networking for customer support. And the reason why this is important is because social kind of is enabling us to be genuine about things that we do as a business. So as soon as you've got someone from a company tweeting a message or something that you know is just about selling something, it's just about promoting a product, and you're just going to ignore it, or you're going to start unfollowing that specific individual or that specific company. Because you don't want that. What you want is companies who are genuinely interested to build a connection and relationship with you. Because now, with social and what's happening with open space in the web, we really want to work with people that care about us, right? How many times you switch from one business to another, from one company that you're using to another, and you couldn't wait for it? Simply because you had enough. You knew that you were just a number. And the truth be told, of course, for many companies, we're just numbers. But that's changing. And social is not the only medium that is changing this, but there are other things on the web. But social is playing a big role in changing that. And actually changing the way we do business. And so that's why you'll realize as soon as you see companies publishing things that you know, they're just doing it to tick the box. Okay? And that's why it's important to see how this plays an important role when it comes to social activities online. Because when you engage as a business online, you've got to show that what you're trying to do is that you're trying to help customers, you're genuinely interested to help and build that relationship. And you're not interested in one-night stands, or what I call one-time transactions. Now, there are people who are interested in that, but most are not. Most are interested to build long-term relationships. And we know that all of these one-time transactions are not going to keep the business running, are they? So that's why this is going to matter. Now the other thing, of course, thanks to social, right? There is so much information out there. That's unbelievable. Now, what companies can do, they can actually start to improve, innovate, and create new products. Why? Because there's just so much information. We never had this much information on the web. When Google came along, started indexing everything, we said, wow, this is amazing. Because for the first time, we can search and find anything we want. So we have access to information. That was the core concept of Google. Sergey Brin and Larry Page. Okay? But then, now because social, everything is open. There's millions and millions of data and information that can help us to do anything we want with our business. Now, do we ask our customers to talk about things that we want on social media channels? The answer is no. They do it themselves. And so imagine how much information about the business, about the products, about the services we get from customers without even asking for it. Now, let's switch for a second in another side of the business. When we want to hear from our customers, what do? We build surveys, we build questionnaires, we build focus groups. And you know how expensive these things are? It's extraordinary. It costs businesses millions. Because managing, running, crunching data, everything, to understand just one simple fact about that specific product or service. But you look at social, it's like a gold mine. You've got everything there waiting for you that you haven't even asked for. Free. And that's why this is also changing the way we innovate, the way we create, and the way we improve services in our everyday business life. So this is an important element to keep in mind. So hopefully by the end of the module we'll help you to understand insights on these things and really kind of develop some skills that are going to be useful to your next employer, or if you're going to work for yourself, for your own company. The most important thing is to understand the nature of social networks. Now, this is just not about technology. We're going to dive into more detail. We're going to go backwards a bit. We're going to leave technology aside to understand why social, why it matters. So we're going to look at the hierarchy of Maslow of needs, where we're going to dive into understanding why this matters. Because remember, it's not about technology. It doesn't matter how cool Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest, all of these are. They are useless without content. And who provides content? It's us, it's people. So that's why these big sites are so powerful. And today, I've just had the news that Twitter is preparing for IPO. And they're evaluating the company to be just around $12 billion. That is huge. That's a virtual thing, right? They don't have a physical store. They don't have. It's unbelievable. Look at the Amazon. You look at Google. The most powerful companies in the world today, they don't even have a physical store. You can't go somewhere and see what they do. They only have some headquartered offices for their own kind of logistics and things like that, but you can't really go and touch it. It's unbelievable, isn't it, when you think about it? Look at Facebook. The most powerful companies in the world today, and they're online. The reason for that is because of people that are creating huge amount of content, and they're making these sites incredible. Even the coolest device you've got in your pocket, whether it's an iPhone or Samsung or whatever it is, it'd be useless if there was no apps, right? And apps are content. Why do you think the next big thing after iPhone launch in 2007 was what? Creating an app store. Because that's when you start to build up a business. You take out all the apps from your iPhone, it's useless. What do? You can throw it away. Yeah, it's a fantastic device, all inbuilt features are really useful, but doesn't do anything. That's why social is so powerful, because the content is there. And lots of its content is actually very much relevant to what we do. you can get almost any answer to any question you've got on YouTube. How to cook, how to play, how to date, anything you like. Right? And in the past, if you wanted to do that, you had to really go and check with your friends, everything else. How can you get to that information? Now, in 2 seconds you can get that. And if that doesn't get you excited, then you're not really getting the concept. Okay? And that's why you need to keep that in mind. Because we live in digital age. Information is the key. That individual, that company that owns information, they own everything. Why Facebook is part? They own information, they own us, they own our identity pretty much. That's why we're not very much happy when we get our profile associated with what? Brands. We said, yeah, I like Coke, but I don't want my name to be associated with Coke. And actually, in terms and conditions, it's not very clear whether they should be doing that. Okay? But they're reshaping it and trying to get it better. Okay, then we'll learn how to get started, success stories, how to design social networking strategies, tools to measure. Now, if you don't measure, it's like you taking your car and just driving, but you've got no idea where you're going. So you need to have a better plan. Innovate using social networking, and I would call them disadvantages, but more like challenges of social networking channels. Because with every new technology, you're going to face with challenges and difficulties, right? So this is not just specific to social networking. Twitter is probably the best source of information you've ever had.